This is Sidra Hassan from the Crescent Portal School. I'm doing IPGCE from the Strathclyde University of Scotland. I'm teaching science to grade 4 students and I love my job. I'm passionate about learning innovative things. I feel really privileged to be a student of IPGCE. I choose teaching as a profession and to make a positive difference in my students' learning journey. Today, I'm going to deliver a reflective model of my own teaching practice. For Module 2, I have chosen a topic that how to create a positive classroom environment in which there are so many topics. So I have selected that I want to discuss about it on the behavior management. My topic is a disruptive classroom will elevate teachers' stress, teachers' hazel, and burnout rate. In 2015, Saginar gave an idea that classroom climate can be divided into three categories. Firstly, the teacher-student relationship. Secondly, peer relationship. And the thirdly, which is the most important, is actually the education atmosphere. I want to make my classroom a good place to learn, where students want expect acceptance, safety, they are actually highly respected, and they have the desire for the positive praise, and they are valued. So the basic right, these are the actually basic rights of the children, right? And if I know the basic rights of the children, then I might overcome the barriers to fulfill the needs of my students. I want to nurture every student of my class. I want to promote inclusive education system and to create a productive environment with lots of learning opportunities to go. I want that every student involved in the class, and for this I have to make interactive class activities, interactive lesson plans, so that my school students will be engaged in the class. Strategies. Children learn actively through everyday experiences. If I'm talking about my teaching style, then I have two things in my teaching practice. Number one is the teaching strategies, that which strategies I'm going to follow, the love of my subject. And the number two thing or the other thing is actually the relationship. I'm following 4 C's in my teaching strategy. That is actually collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and the last thing is actually creativity. But I use 5C in my teaching practice. I add choices in my teaching style because I think that the students having choices, so they will learn more. The other thing which I have told you is actually the relationship. It is actually the sixth C, and it is actually care. And I think that care is also very important. No one remember anything but the care of the teacher. So I specified mood in the class, that what is the routine, what are the boundaries, what are the expectation in my classroom. I try that always these expectations are the high and clear, and I tell these instructions in the start of the year. I strongly emphasize on praise in my class, as I'm dealing with 9 to 10 years old, and you know that 9 to 10 years old students, they need encouragement to complete their work. Some need less encouragement and some need more encouragement. It all depend on the student. Some students are academically, they are very good, but still they need encouragement. As I'm teaching science to my students, so I formulate lesson plans. Then I keep in mind that there are all type of learners in my class. I focus on the hands-on activity, and for this hands-on activity, I actually we use group, and we work in collaboration, and we perform activity, and I focus on the collaborative working. For the collaborative working, I used to make group, and for group construction, I usually use a rainbow card method, and students enjoy this method a lot. My student need actually, they want purposeful and challenging schoolwork. Students work in collective efforts in the small groups, and they perform the experiments, and they discuss the things, or they discuss the concepts, or do some solve some puzzle. They do the. Now, if I'm talking about the challenges, then effective classroom management does not happen automatically. Even if the students' attitude, their behavior, and the teachers' strategies they are in place, the most important influence in the classroom environment is that how does the teacher manages in the class, and it is actually the most important thing. And if the classroom is not properly managed, then it elevates your stress level, and it happens with me actually. That it and I'm not feeling well, feeling calm if the classroom is distracted. The goal is to make my student self-disciplined, and I wish to teach my students effectively, and I want to give them meaningful learning to my students. And for this, I follow the 3F strategy, that is actually friendly, fair, and firm. But I consider that I'm not very firm. Teacher, when I enter the class, the students rush towards me. They are telling me their stories about their homework and giving their feedback about their activities, which is actually quite gracious that the students are actually sharing, and they are not resisting. And I usually take feedback in the warm-up sessions. I build a positive relationship with my students through communication. I promote class discussions in my class. But what happened that I don't like distraction in my class. When I'm going to demonstrate something, and I'm going to tell something that I want that all the students should listen. And if it is not happening, that and I fail to attaining the goals, then I get frustrated. And I always encourage the students to have their who have the academic problems, and I actually solve their problems. But it happens actually that my blood start boiling, and you know that if I'm saying to you, then you have to follow these things. If it is not happening, then what happened that I used to yell or scream in the class, and it is a big challenge for me. Actually, to control my anger is also a big challenge for me, and to control the class is also a big challenge for me. So I'm working with these two things in my class now. That when I start, when I actually feel that I'm going to yell, then how to control it. And after doing PG sir, then I get to know that yelling or screaming is actually a very bad way to manage the classroom. Although what happened that when I yell in the class, then the students actually calm down, and they but when I study about the disadvantages, then I get to know that they are actually that they calm down, they are actually scared. And it actually affect the relationship between me and my students. I am trying to actually not doing this thing, not yelling at this thing. And actually, you know that yelling also not only it actually affect the relationship, it also affect my health also. Because for example, if I'm going frustrated in the frustrated mood, I'm going in my home, then my family will get also frustrated, because I will take out my frustration in my family. These things are actually interconnected with each other, and once I analyze the problem, then I have to actually work on the self-punishment. And the researchers has also proven that yelling actually it is a tool that actually weakens the students and teacher relationship. And that I consider that I'm the role model of the class. I am the role model, but what happened that I am actually showing them a terrible role model. Dr. Lara actually she tell that if you are yelling in the class, then it produces a similar result as that of the physical punishment, and it actually promote fear. And um, and I was actually very scared that I want that my students take a good teaching journey, learning journey. So it is actually a biggest challenge for me to control my anger, and to manage the distraction in the class, and to train my students that how to uh, uh, you know um, stay in the class, and what are the rules and regulations. And I have find out that my rules are actually not well defined. I actually I actually tell my rules and what are my expectations in the class in the start of the session. But what happened that I don't know that I have to repeat it again and again. But I get to after doing PG cert, I know that it is actually happening with every teacher. That every teacher is actually repeating their sentences, again, repeating the rules again and again, and reinforcing the students and telling them again and again what are the rules and reminding them. Another important thing which I have learned that actually I have to use the polite language. Yes, I have to use the polite language in the class. But more importantly, that I should tell my students that what are my expectations instead of telling them that I don't want to any noise in the class. Otherwise, I'm not going to teach you. No, I should not say this thing to my students, right? Instead of this, I should say that my expectations are this from you. And when I have applied these things, and it will, I have found I was really astonished because I have found a magical result. And students are actually, they are giving me better response if I'm telling these things to my students. So that's all, and this is an ongoing journey, and I'm actually in the process to control my anger, to control my students. Okay, thank you.